Hello, and welcome to Knitscents, episode 8. My name is Jan. You can find me as Jan Ellen RN on Ravelry and on Instagram. We have a Facebook page, which I will put right here. And we also have a group on Ravelry, the Knitscents podcast. So I hope you will come and join us over there. This week we have knitting, we have spinning, some FOs, a little stash enhancement, and a little bit of future cast on, which kind of goes in with the stash enhancement, and we have some Scentsy business. So that's what's on tap for this week. A little bit of housekeeping first. Last week was not a very good week, so I did not have a chance to record, but we do have a lot of progress on tap for this week. I also am so horribly behind on my podcast watching, but I did watch or trying to catch up on 90% Knitting, which is a podcast I've loved for years. And I want to thank Lisa, who is Fibernymph, the host of 90% Knitting, for her wonderful shout out on her podcast. Lisa, for those of you who don't know, is Fibernymph, and she is the absolute genius behind Fibernymph Dyeworks. And if you're lucky enough to catch one of her updates, she has so many unique items. She has some beautiful self-striping. She also has what she calls inversibles, and I have 2 sets of those, and I can't wait to cast those on. They're reversed striping, so they're matched but not quite matched. So take a look at those. But you can also, if you don't catch her updates, you can also find Lisa's beautiful dyed yarn at the Loopy U. Yes, Lisa is in the Loopy U. So thank you so much, Lisa. She is just an absolutely lovely, lovely lady. I had the privilege of knowing her for several years now, and she is just absolutely wonderful and a very creative genius. So if you have the chance, check out her podcast, which is 90% Knitting, and her fiber, which is Fibernymph Dyeworks. She also does actually dye fiber, and I have spun up some of her fiber, which is just absolutely beautiful. So she dyes both yarn and fiber. And you can find, I will put her shop, I will put it here and link it below, and also you can check it out at the Loopy U. What else? I have been continuing to bake lots of different types of breads, but I don't know who messed up the calendar, because I actually had to put my air conditioner back on today. I don't know what's with this. It is in the upper 70s. Here I am, I'm getting into baking all different kinds of breads, and I'm making homemade soups and chili, and somebody turned the heat back on. It is in the 70s. I think today it's supposed to be close to 80 degrees. What is with that? It's got to cool. It's November, folks. It is November. It is time for fall. It is time for knitwear. I've got all this stuff I've finished, and I want to wear it, and I can't because it's just too hot. So that's kind of a little bit of what's been going on around here. I think that's about it. So why don't we just go on to the knitting? I made a good amount of progress this week on my Hitafude. So, and I'm just really, really enjoying knitting this. The first thing I want to say, I'm not sure, in a previous episode, I think I might have said I was knitting it out of Djinni sock. It's Dragonfly Fibers, but it's not the Djinni sock. And I actually realized that when I went to pick up, let's see if we can get this to focus. It's the dragon sock. I'm trying to, let me find another skein. because this is the one they were holding for me at my yarn store, and it's taped on over, here we go. It's the dragon sock. So there we go. So knitting it out of dragonfly fibers in the dragon sock in the cognac colorway, which is a really pretty burnt orange. This skein actually, you can see, has even more of the pops of brown, and it looks like almost burgundy in there, and they come up very randomly, and I love that. I absolutely love that. So let's just pop that over there. I have to apologize for the lighting. It is so gray and dingy outside. There's like sun somewhere behind the house over there. So I've got a little bit of light coming in this window. There's this huge black cloud blocking the whole front of the window over here. So there's no light. I kind of look like a ghost, but we have to rock with it because I really have to do this before I lose all the light, and then it doesn't work. So back to my Hitafude. Here we go. Now let me see if I can just get this to go the right way. Okay. So I finished knitting up the sleeves and I closed them. So here is the back of the sweater, okay, and the sleeves were done with a 3-needle bind off. Kind of can't get this whole thing in here. And the neck was then bound off. So here we go. That's the neck and the back, the top of the back. And the color, like I said, I'm going to have to get some lights or something so that I'm not beholden to the comings and goings of the sun outside, because the color on this is really going crazy. But anyway, here are the two sleeves. That's the top, the neck, and the top back. It's right here. And here's the other sleeve. Then what happens is you rib, which is across the upper back, not really the upper, but the upper waist. So it's the top back is here, and then sort of above the waistline it ribs, and then it starts to come down. Now this is the sweater from the front, and it's really hard to visualize it, at least it is for me, because it's kind of going sideways. But all I can say with this pattern, and this is actually going to be the front. What is here is going to be the fronts and then the rest of the back. Let me try to explain. It's a pattern that you kind of have to just follow blindly, because if you try to make sense out of this, I probably would have just been still sitting there trying to fold this thing and figure it out. It's actually, the ribbing part is done in the round, so it's connected. So once you join the sleeves, you're knitting in the round. So you have this piece that's sealed at the top and you're knitting around. And if you think about it, how are you going to get this on? There is no, it's not a pullover sweater, it's clearly a cardigan that you slip on. And what happens is you then bind off the top of that round piece and continue to knit out. Made no sense to me. Decided I'm not going to think about it. If I do, I'm going to make my own mistakes. So I followed it blindly, and it did work. So again, and it's not difficult. It's not complicated. It is extremely well written. It's just doesn't seem to make any sense until you do it, and then it makes perfect sense. So that's what I've done. I finished the part up to the sleeves. I've joined the sleeves, and now I am working on the fronts. And what you do is you do whatever size you're doing, X amount of repeats back and forth, and then you start to increase on the fronts. So I'm on to the point now where I'm at the very end of the last repeat. So I'll be starting the increases for the front. Very, very, very enjoyable knit. does not require you to keep looking at the pattern. From what I gather, I've placed markers on here, and from what I gather, there are different charts, but the different charts are basically all the same, lace repeat. It's just a matter of how many stitches you're working before and after to accommodate the increases, if that makes any sense. So I don't think it's going to be complicated to do. I'm really enjoying it. I cannot wait to finish it because I actually would love to do one in green. So that's one thing I have been knitting on. And the second thing I actually started last night, and you will see why I got to do this. I cast on a new pair of socks, and I'm absolutely I lucked into this skein. I don't know if any of you have tried mustache yarns or trying to get hold of any skeins of mustache yarns. But her self-striping, she takes self-striping to a new level. She has, I think at one point the most I've seen was one skein that had 24 stripes in it, which is just mind-boggling when you think of the labor that goes into self-striping. But I'm not sure if it was in an email that I got or if I just happened to see it on Instagram. Whatever it was, I lucked into it, and I was able to get, what I was able to pick up was a skein of her perfect sock base. Let's see, can I get that to, there we go. Her perfect sock base, self-striping. It is in her OCD package, and what that is it's actually two skeins that are perfectly matched to make identical striped socks. So you don't have to, because normally I do try to match my self-striping socks. So if I start with, if it's like red, blue, green, I will pull off until I get to the color that I started the first sock with. This you do not have to do. You don't have to do that with, because she does that for you. So they're identically matched. If you start at the same end, your socks will miraculously match. And I got this in the Calaveras colorway, which I think it said it was 12 stripes. I'm really technically only seeing 8, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. Anyway, here's what I did. I started this last night, and I'm trying very hard this time not to pull it off the needles. Okay, there we go. Ooh, actually, I think that actually got the colors really good. I should record in the dark more often. Okay, there we go. So you can see where the white stripe is. It actually has pops of blue and like a reddish purpley. There's this maroon. There is purple, black, the white with the speckles in it, brown, orange, green, and again with the white, and then I think it goes back into the this kind of turquoise blue, which is where I started, but it actually went into the cast on, so you can't really see it. But anyway, I am knitting my typical plain 64 stitch vanilla sock. I knit them on size 1 needles, 2.25. They fit me perfectly. That is my go-to sock pattern, because when I work on socks, I like to keep them simple. I always like to have something on the needles that I can put in my purse that I don't have to think about. I can whip it out online. If I'm waiting, I can take it out in the doctor's office. I can take it out if my mind is somewhere else and just knit on it. So that's why I always like to keep a pair of vanilla socks. So to me, the more striping and the more things that the yarn will do for me that I don't have to think about, the more color work, the better. So these I started last night. I did a 1.5 inch rib cuff. My big decision with this, I am trying to decide. I've done many socks with afterthought heels, but like the pre-afterthought where you put the yarn in, I'm tempted to just knit these 2 identical socks and then put in a true afterthought heel. But the more I think about it, I'm really wondering if the two skeins are identical already, then if you did like a fish lips kiss heel, theoretically they should match anyway, even if if you didn't cut the yarn or whatever. As long as you're knitting continuously, they should theoretically match. So I might think about that. I'm not sure. I'm kind of betwixt in between with the heel on this. So if you have any ideas, any suggestions, if you've knit with her OCD skeins before, please let me know how you work the heel. I would really be interested to know. I've never done a true afterthought heel. I have cut my yarn, but I've never done a true afterthought heel sock. So I was kind of interested in giving it a try, but again, if it would take the fish lips kiss heel and if they would match, I know they won't stripe, around where the heel is, but I'm fine with that, but we'll see. So anyway, that's what I'm working on now, and that's really my two active works in progress. My Painted Desert is still, it's on hiatus right now, and I really do want to get back to it because I'm assuming at some point the weather is going to cool off and it would be perfect to wear it. But I haven't really had the head to focus on that right now, so that's sort of taken a back seat if you're wondering where that went. It's still there. I'm still dying to work on it, but I just really haven't had the patience to deal with all of the colors and all of that. So moving on, I will go into spinning. I have been mostly continuing, I don't want to, it's okay, it's only a bobbin. Everything is stuck. Okay. I have been continuing to spin up my fluffy bats. Let's see if I can get that to focus, of the Cormo that I processed, and I have been really, really, really pleased with how well this is spinning up. I did the one bobbin I showed last week. This is what I've done on the second bobbin, and I have got quite a few bats left to spin. So I'm hoping I should get enough to knit a decent sized lace shawl. That's really my goal, is to knit an Estonian lace shawl. If I were to bead it, which I would think about, I would have to do placed beads because this is woolen spun. I am spinning this woolen. This yarn will never stand up to sliding beads down and pre-placed beads. But again, that's down the highway. This is so super, super soft. I don't even know where where's the camera on this thing anyway? Okay. Well, anyway, again, it's 100% Cormo that I processed. I've so enjoyed it. I am sitting with a Cordale, a black Cordale fleece that I am absolutely dying to delve into. But I have promised myself that I'm not going to wash any more fleece until I have finished at least spinning these bats. So that's one thing. And the other thing I have been working on, oh, here's the bobbin. I was like, I don't want to stop again, is I had mentioned this last week. It is a braid from Knitty in Color. And I think her website, is it on Etsy? Well, it's knittyincolor.com. I'm not sure if she's on Etsy. But if you have never checked out Sarah's things and you love color, go and check it out, because this is the ultralight at night colorway. I'm going to actually stop the crinkling and I'm going to take it out of the bag. There we go. This is half the braid. The other half is what I am spinning on. And it is not showing up as bright as the pops of color are, and that's what I love about what Sarah dyes. There's black, there's a little bit of natural, and then bright, bright pops of color. This green here, which is not even close to showing up what it is like an electric green. There is a bright magenta here, but not huge stripes, not huge amounts, just when you spin it comes out as pops of color. So this is what I'm working on now. I'm spinning the Formo on my matchless. Again, that I had put that in Scotch tension so that I could spin that woolen. And this I am spinning on my Sidekick. And this is what I have so far. Okay. Let's see if that's going to focus on there. And you can see how the pops of color come out. This is spinning it to about that thickness right there, and I am just enjoying the spin. I'm not sure how I'm going to apply this. I split the braid exactly in half. I may try at first, I'm going to spin the 2 bobbins, and then I may try to ply them together into a 2-ply. If I'm not crazy about how that works, then I will likely Navajo ply, or chain ply the whole thing, and then when I come to the end and add in the new skein, just add it in and keep on going with the second bobbin. So I will either turn this into a 2-ply or Navajo ply it. I will test it or run a sample and see which one I like better, which comes out a little bit nicer. So that's what I've been spinning on. I've been happy to get back to my wheel. That's been a lot of fun. But I did last week get a lot of stuff off the needles. So we're going to go on to finished objects. Yes, I have more than one. The first thing that I am so thrilled to get off my needles are those socks that I had on there forever, and just I hated every stitch. I don't know why. I don't know why. This is how they came out. Again, it is my regular 64 stitch sock. I did this on a 2.25 size 1 needle, double point needles. Here you can see there are 2. I actually did finish both of the socks. I am thrilled to get them finished. I actually do like them. I will wear these. I'm very happy with how they came out. I do like the self-patterning. I don't know why. I just hated knitting with it. I don't know. I don't know if it just that the colors seemed dull at the time, or if I just was over it before I finished it. I don't know. I just don't understand it. This is in the Regia sock in Arnie and Carlos. I'm not sure of the name of this colorway. If I find the label, I will link it below which of these colorways, which the Arnie and Carlos colorways it is, because lucky me, I have about 3 more skeins of Arnie and Carlos. So I am hoping that the other colors will be a little bit more fun to knit. Again, I don't know. It's not like I was doing a pattern I didn't like. That wasn't like I didn't like I don't know. I wish I could explain. I'm glad they're done. I'm glad they're off my needles, and I am really enjoying knitting on the mustache yarn socks now. So this is one FO, completely done, finished. I'm done. I'm probably likely just going to toss what's left of that skein, because if I just don't want to knit with that again. So that's finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is something that I had on the needles, and I started it for some reason. I guess I started it in the spring. And you know, as you knit on things, you start them sort of the weather's cold, and then all of a sudden it gets hot or it gets warm. It's like, why am I knitting on this now? So you put it down and you don't think about it anymore. Well, this was such a fun knit, and I left it like right near the very end. This is a pattern by, I think it's Amy King is her name. It's the Spunky Eclectic. And I will post the information, link it below. This is from a kit, and the pattern is hers as well. It's called Qanik, Q-A-N-I-K. And the yarn, I believe, is Cordell. This is yarn that she dyed because the Spunky Eclectic, if you're familiar with it at all, I actually was in her club for a period of time. Her yarns, her colors are absolutely beautiful. This is a pattern. When I saw this pattern again, it was pink, white, and black, and that was all I had to see. The only thing missing, and I will put it on, is the pom-pom. This does get a pom-pom on the top. So let's just see how, okay. Yes, we all know I did not weave my ends in yet. So, but here it is. I actually just, it's blocked. I love the way it fits. I wasn't too crazy about the way this top was hanging, but I think once I put the pom-pom on it and leave it a little bit looser and slouchier in the back, I will like it better, and the pom-pom will just sort of hang on it. Loved it, loved knitting it. It fits nice, it feels great. This will be a nice warm hat because it's stranded color work, so it's doubled on the inside, double thickness. Here we go. Let's see if we can show that on in there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Loved, loved, loved the pattern. So that is finished. Oh, that's a good job. Okay, now we can see it. There we go. If it's trial and error, I'm going to mostly go by error, but we'll get it. Okay, where's that little piece that won't show? All right. At any rate, you get the idea. Really fun pattern, fun knit. I will link the information below. And yes, I got another FO. And this one, I actually started and finished. I started after I recorded last and finished it a couple of days ago, and it is blocked. Whenever I go to Rhinebeck, and a lot of people have been asking me what was the piece du jour, because every time you go to Rhinebeck, there's sort of always one pattern that's like the it pattern for the season. And you see so many people wearing it. One year I remember it was the hero sweater, and I saw so many gorgeous combinations of that I came home and of course I had to knit that one. But this year there was a hat that at one point I thought it was actually groups of women that had knitted together to wear to Rhinebeck. And when I went up and asked, you know, what pattern is that? Are you all together? They were like, no, we just all are wearing the same hat. Turns out it is the Baa-ble hat, B-A-A-B-L-E. And if you go to the Shetland Wool Week site, and I will again link all the information below, this is actually a free pattern that they are doing in honor of Shetland Wool Week this year. This hat was all over Rhinebeck. And I did buy the yarn, and I do have it for the sheephead hat, which is similar. It's a different style hat, and it's similar. And I do want to knit that, but when I saw this one, I was like, I have to have it. So here it is again, ends not woven in. Now, I'm going to take this down. There's a very long cuff on it, which is meant to be turned up. And then you have all of this, you know, just the little white here. You have your sheep, and then you have your, to me, it was sky. So, but I've seen this in all different variations of colors. I have seen where some people did one sheep in black and the face in white, and so they had one black sheep and all the rest around were white. I have seen where the bottom is brown and the top is green. There are all different color combinations. I just absolutely loved knitting this. It was a quick knit, it was an easy knit, but a couple of things. I used, oh gosh, Rowan Pure Wool Worsted, which I believe is a superwash wool. I guess it must be because they did put it in the dryer. It's a worsted weight wool. The pattern calls for Jameson yarn because Jameson is sponsoring the Shetland Wool Week. And there have been a number of issues with knitting the hat in the Jameson and the Aran, meaning that it comes out very large is really what the problem was. So I can give you two suggestions. Well, actually one big suggestion. Susan B. Anderson has knit this hat, and she has written about it on her blog. And what she did was she had seen somebody churning out these hats that fit perfectly. So she asked the person what modifications she made to make the hats fit so well, because so many people were having problems with them coming out so huge. So Susan, on her blog, there is a whole section on how to modify the hat to make it fit an average size head. So in other words, if you're knitting an average hat and it fits you, if you do the modifications that Susan suggests, then you will get an average size hat out of it. What I did was what a lot of people did, was use a worsted weight wool instead of an Aran weight wool, which worked fine. Actually, before I blocked it, the hat fit beautifully. I blocked it. I did not stretch either of these hats when I blocked it. I washed them, I squeezed out the water, and I shaped them and laid them flat. And what I did was I laid it flat, and then a couple of hours I turned it a bit, and then flattened it out and shaped it again with my hand so that I didn't end up with creases, and so that it dried pretty evenly. This hat, which is again in the Rowan Superwash worsted, I believe it's called Pure Wool. When I tried it on, I tried it on when it was still damp, and the hat was huge. I mean huge. So what I did was I put it in the dryer. And again, yes, I know my ends are not woven in. I will. Oh, look at this. Okay. The lesson is weaving your ends. Okay, don't do like me and just sort of leave them. Okay. I put this in the dryer, and for me, I think it came out and fitting perfectly. So I would recommend, if you're going to do this, to do it, you can use Cascade worsted. I would make sure I use the superwash. If you want to follow the pattern exactly as it's written, follow the charts, I would say use a worsted weight wool in superwash. It shrunk just enough. It didn't shrink. It basically went back to what it was before I blocked it, before I took, wet it and kind of laid it out flat and all. So to me, the fit is great. This one also will get a pom-pom on the top, which will make it a little bit slouchier, but I'm fine with that. It's not skin tight, it's not too tight, and I love it because I will be able to throw this in the machine and throw it in the dryer, and out it will come. So there it is. It is the Baa-ble hat. The pattern is free. If you go to the Shetland Wool Week, oh goodness, wow. Humidity and a hat. That's the end of your hair. You're done. If you go to the Shetland Wool Week website, I will link it below. Just to say, a lot of people, up until about 2 weeks ago, maybe even less, what you had to do was you had to sign up for the newsletter. And when you got the first edition of the newsletter, that's when you would get the free pattern. So a lot of people were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for the pattern. And I guess once people started to see it, they really wanted to start knitting it and were questioning, I signed up, I didn't get the pattern. So what they did is they did provide a link now on that website. So if you click on it, it takes you right to a download of the pattern. So if you did see the pattern and you did sign up for the newsletter, but you haven't received your pattern yet, go back to the website. I will put it below and I will link it, and you can get the pattern there. But again, my only recommendation is read through the patterns. I'm not sure what would happen if you used the Jameson. Now here, where I am, it was very difficult for me to even locate the skeins and the colors that I wanted of the Jameson, so I had to substitute, and I'm actually really glad that I did. I'm not sure what would happen if you went down in needle size. I didn't really check. I looked at a lot of the projects to see how people accommodated, and were saying that the hats were big. So again, my one suggestion would be, if you choose to knit that, try it in a worsted weight, exactly as the pattern is written, and I think, and use a superwash so that if you need to, you can put it through the dryer. And I actually put that thing through twice on a pretty good heat, and it's not a Barbie hat, it's perfectly fine. So that's it for my FOs, all three of them. I was happy to get some stuff done. I will make the 2 pom-poms. I don't know, I think I made 1 pom-pom last January. That was the only pom-pom I ever made in my life. I have one of those Clover pom-pom maker things. Took me, I don't know how long to figure it out. And I just haven't like really had the urge to go back and figure it all out again. But if I remember correctly, it worked great and it was a lot of fun. So maybe I'll have 2 pom-poms to show next week. Which brings me to a little bit of stash enhancement. As I had mentioned before, sadly my local yarn store, which actually isn't even local, this one that I went to is technically a little bit closer, but my local yarn store is closing. So I went in search of different yarn stores in the area, and I had found one, actually friends of mine had found it a couple months ago, and I hadn't had the opportunity to go back, so I did go back. And when I went, I found a hat. I don't know, I seem to be on a hat kick, which was absolutely just to die for. So I'm going to see if I can pull it up here and show it to you. Oops, wait, I got to unlock this thing. I'm not so good with this, in case you haven't figured that out. Okay, this is the hat. Now, okay, let's see. There it is. It is in the early fall edition of Vogue Knitting. There are 2 fall editions apparently in Vogue Knitting. This is in the early fall of this year's edition. I believe it's called the Ribbed Brioche Hat, but it's the only one that looks like this in that edition. And they had a sample there that was knit. Now I think this pattern calls for DK. This is in what we did get, and what the sample there was knit in was worsted. And I just loved the yarn. So this is what I got for it. It is Highland Cascade Yarns, Highland Duo. It is 70% alpaca, 30% merino wool. It is so soft, and I'm pretty sure you could probably tell from the skeins. Let's see if I can. It has an absolutely beautiful halo. The finished hat was just soft and fluffy and so pretty. And they did on the tag make a modification, which is to say, I'm not even sure, I didn't even look at the pattern, but if you go and you download this pattern, you have to get the magazine, sadly. It's not available on Ravelry separately. The only place I know right now that you can get it is in the early fall edition of Vogue Knitting 2015. But if you do have that edition, if you subscribe, if you decide you want to knit it, it calls for a DK. I'm knitting it in a worsted. The sample I saw was in the worsted, and what she did was she knit on, cast on 64 stitches. I'm not sure what the pattern suggests, but I believe she cast on 64 stitches and is knitting it. You can knit it on a 5 or a 6, I guess, whichever gives you more of a fabric that you like. But at any rate, it is a black and white brioche hat. And I'm all about the brioche right now, so I'd love to get back into that. It does not look like a complicated brioche pattern. It's just a simple rib, which is basically what brioche is. So this is the Cascade Yarns Highland Duo. That's what I picked up, but I think what really caused me to go for it was this. Oh. This is what they had on the top of the hat, was this absolutely stunning, soft, let's see if I can get the camera to just focus it all. No, all right, whatever. I had to. It was just absolutely insane. So I am likely going to cast this on pretty soon because, again, the Hitafude seems to be very easy. It's just a matter now of doing increases and keeping the chart straight. Even though the charts are identical, it's just the number of stitches before you start the chart that changes. So that's pretty simple. Vanilla sock. I'd like to do something with brioche or something a little bit different. So that is my stash enhancement and my future cast on. So that's it for the knitting, I think, and the spinning and the FOs. Let's make sure we got it all on there. That's it. So moving on to Scentsy. It is now November, which means that our November warmer of the month, which I showed last week, 2 weeks ago, is now available on my website. It is called Let It Snow. It is what I have burning there, but for some reason on the camera, it shows bright light, and it is absolutely not. It is a glow. It is one of the warmers that completely the whole warmer glows, but it glows to the point where you can absolutely see the detail on each of the 4 sides, and each of the 4 sides is a different holiday snow theme. So what I'm going to do is try and show it if I can see it. Let's see. Get my glasses here. I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. This is, oh gosh, now it's going to glare. There we go. That is a much better picture of how it glows, because when you look at it, as you're looking at it here, this is turned on, you can see that you can actually see every detail. And there are spots where the ceramic is actually thicker than it is in other spots, so you can see shadings and you can see all of the details. And it's 4 sides of, let me see if I can, let's see with this one. I don't think it shows all 4 sides, but okay. So you have the sledding side where there's your tree up top, there is a street lantern and children on a sled. There's the snowman side. Here's all 4 sides actually. Let's see if I can get that to focus in there. Oh, I'm making this thing go crazy. But you get the idea. It's children building a snowman. There's a cottage scene. There's sledding scene and a tree decorating scene. Let's see if you can see that one there. So that is the warmer of the month for November, and the style of it, if you can see, is a mason jar. And all of our mason jar warmers have been extremely, extremely popular. This one is absolutely unglazed on the outside. It is completely matte. The inside where you put the wax, inside the top, that is glazed and smooth, so it is nice and easy to get the wax to pop out. But this is the warmer of the month for November. It is $31.50 until the 31st. And along with November warmer of the month, we get a scent of the month. And this month the scent is called Winter Cypress, and it is a icy blue color. And all I can say, I'm actually burning it now. I did smell it when I got it last week, and I can It is just winter in a bar is really the best way I can describe it. It is a very clean, very fresh fragrance. Their description, a cool kiss of mint leaf, chilled raspberry, and frosted lavender is an exhilarating ode to the first breath of winter. And that's exactly what it smells like, a breath of winter. It is a very cool scent. I absolutely smell the raspberry. The lavender, I can smell a little bit of a florally smell. To me, this is just a very cool, very fresh, chilled scent, and it smells fabulous. And if you want your house to smell like winter, that's what I can say is this smells like winter. In the fall, I do like burning the baked scents. The last two I really did enjoy, the coconut pumpkin pie, the toffee nut crunch. And I'm not really about the food fragrances, but I do enjoy them once in a while. This is something I could see just burning all winter, all season long. It just smells good. It smells clean and it smells good. So again, that is $4.50 a bar. They are 10% off, as is the room spray, the scent circles. Anything in this fragrance for the month of November is 10% off. And that is the fragrance of the month for November. And the other thing I just wanted to go over is the holiday collection. There are a lot of really wonderful gift ideas in here. All of the holiday products are in this catalog. Now, if you are interested and would like one of these catalogs, this is 3 of our holiday warmers. If you would like a holiday catalog, please let me know. Send me an email. I will put my email address. I will put it right there, and I will link it below. So I can email you a catalog if you like. I can also email you a PDF of the catalog, or I can send you one in the mail. So that's up to you. Just let me know if you'd like to look at the catalog itself. Let me know. Or all of these items are on my website. So if you go to my website, again, a couple of things I would point out. If you click on shop at the top, a menu will drop down. I believe it's on the left is the holiday collection. So if you click on that, basically all of the holiday things will come up. If you go over, click on shop and go over to the right, you will see warmer of the month, scent of the month, and each of the months will come down over there. And if you hit November, this month's will come up. The previous months are still available. They're now $35. They're only on sale in the month that they're featured. The only one that's not is the Lumina, is the pumpkin, which was the September warmer of the month. That one is no longer available. But the sports ones are the August one, the July one, and I believe this was June, the Lone Star. So if you like any of those, that's where you will find them under the warmer of the month. Again, I would say to always check, click shop when it drops down over on the right hand side. There are 2 places, combine and save. Always look on that. If you're looking to purchase more than one warmer, more than one bar, there are packages which will save you money. And also look at the sale, because there are always things on sale, on clearance, so that's another great place to look. If you are interested, I did check last night and it was still available. If you celebrate Hanukkah, or if you need a gift for someone who celebrates Hanukkah, there is actually a menorah warmer that is in the clearance section, in the sale section, and I believe it's $28. And the last I checked, it was still there. So that's also a great gift idea, great place to check. So remember, check your combine and saves, check your sale section, and always check the warmer and scent of the month. I believe that's it for Scentsy. We have a contest we have to draw for. Last week I put up on the forum a contest for this skein of my hand spun. It has since been washed and thwacked. I don't have, oh gosh, I think I just completely lost the light. What did I do? All right. That just means if it's getting dark out that I've been talking for too long and it's time to move on. At any rate, this was fiber and a spin along that was started before the summer even started with the Knit Girls. It is Three Waters Farms. It is a Polworth silk. I spun it into a 2-ply, and I'm going to see if you can tell. Again, the lighting is just gone on me today. Let's see. I'm going to say this is a fingering. Okay, I think it's a little more than a heavy lace. I think it's a fingering weight. I will see if I can get the yardage calculated out before I send it out, but at any rate, we are going to draw for this. What I had asked last week was to tell me your favorite Thanksgiving recipe. And we got some really, really good recipes. I'm absolutely dying to try the, somebody put the Texas sheet cake. There was one for, I'm trying to find, for the green bean casserole and an apple pineapple bake. So I will be very busy trying these out. But there were 4 entries, and I have my random number generator that I actually know how to work. So I have put in, oh wait, 1 through 4, it's a good thing I check. I am going to put in 2 through 4. Okay, so there we are. Numbers 2 through 4. I will hit generate, and the winner is number 3. And number 3 is Try Linda. This is the 3rd contest. Now, I'm using my random number generator. I don't pick this. It is like how lucky can you get? But then again, when you only have a few entries, your chances are really, really good, guys. So spread the word. Maybe we can have more contests. Spread the word out there. But at any rate, Try Linda, you have won my skein of hand spun, but her recipe was for an apple pineapple bake. And it looks super, super simple. You can go on the website and try it out. It calls for 2 cans of pineapple chunks and 2 cans of apple pie filling. What could be bad? I mean, that sounds amazing to me. So guess what, Linda? I do have your address. So I will get this. I think from now on, I'm going to wait and just wait from week to week to see if I have more to send you. But I will get this out in the mail to you, and hopefully I'll be able to calculate out the yardage before I send it. That is, I think, all I have for this week. I hope to get back to a normal schedule and record again next Friday. In the meantime, please tell people, tell everyone you know, share the website. Let's try to get our numbers up. If I can get to 100 members in our Knitscents podcast group, I will have a very special giveaway. So let's get some people in there. Let's get this group going. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, as always, knit with sense.